Internet, Keeve here, and welcome to the Cars with Keeve YouTube channel. And in this video, we are going over our next refill on our CR Spotless DIW20. Now, the last set has only been about 700 or 800 gallons. And at my ppm, which is 60, they theoretically say I should be getting about 1,200. When they give those calculations and they say, hey, this many gallons and this is your ppm, this is what you should get, that's just based off of just pure ppm. That's not based off the chemicals in the water, what type of water you have. Those are huge factors and things that can break down your resin. I live on, it's not municipality. You could call it city water, but it's county water. And usually that water is heavily chemical treated using chloramines and chlorines. Chloramines is a newer thing. It's used a lot more in water sanitization now than it used to be. Now, chloramine actually breaks down into chlorine, but it also breaks down into ammonia as well. Chlorine and ammonia eat resin. Chlorine itself eats resin, and those are not dissolved solids. The DI resin will not stop those chemicals. Carbon filters stop those chemicals. So if you can stop them before they hit your resin, more than likely you're going to extend the lifespan of your resin. Now, if you're getting from well water, obviously your hardness is usually higher. Most people use water softeners and stuff like that to soften up the water. But also, a lot of times well water has a lot of CO2 content in it, and CO2 will eat DI resin as well. So a lot of people, when they have large concentrations of CO2, you kind of need to get tanks and gravity feed. You take the tanks, you fill them up with your well water, and then you use an aerator to aerate that water and gas off that CO2, and then you'll be able to process that water and save your DI resin. Another big thing with resin, it does have a lifespan. And depending on when you buy it, how long it's been sitting in storage, could also impact the life of the resin. Most all manufacturers say that you need to use it within 12 months, which means if you buy it in bulk and you store it onto the side, and then you use it and then you refill it later, that second refill could be slightly less effective than the first refill. So how has the CR Spotless worked for me? It's been working amazing. I have no problems with it. I don't have any leaks. I don't have any issues. I love the inline TDS meter. You can use these cartridges and refill them, no problem. That's what we're going to do in this video today. Now, maybe you're going to say to yourself, Keeve, I remember you had a video before where you did the RV mod, which is these tubes right here, instead of the cartridge system. Now, I did do that. I had some issues, and this was my issue. Resin either got by these slots or somehow was blowing by the tops. And I've readjusted, reseated these many, many times. It's ruined a couple of my sprayers. Resin got all gunked up in my garden hose sprayer. I don't know if I did something wrong, but just to not have that problem anymore, I went back to the cartridges. Many people are very successful with these, so I don't want to say there's a problem with them. I just had a problem with them. I mean, I got resin in both of them. Now for our resin refill, I went with On The Go. Now On The Go is a competitor to the CR Spotless. It's more of a dual tank setup because this is mixed bed resin, or you can do a single tank setup. They have a dual tank with a blow by and everything. It's really cool design. I had to buy two 10-pound bags because they don't sell a 20-pound on Amazon. Now Adams has a 20-pound bag, and I'm pretty sure it's the exact same thing because their Adams DI is basically On The Go rebranded. But I didn't want to buy in bulk because I kind of wanted to move around and try different resin companies to see if the resin mixes are different. This seems much darker than what's in the CR Spotless. Now, before we get too further into the refill, I kind of want to show you how my system is set up. It's slightly different than what a lot of people have, where it's wall mounted like 3 feet in the air. Well, these things are really heavy. I really don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to, hold it and have water all over the place. The water would fall closer to the floor. So these actually sit on the floor. Now I have union joints all over the place, but the two specific ones is this one here and then this one here. I undo these, I undo the bolts, and I'll be able to move this out away from the wall. Now I have the bypass here where I have it turned off. I can do tap water straight this way, or I can do through the system. So I undo my union joint here. Obviously, you're going to get some water leakage because there's water in the pipe. There we go. You see how it just disconnects right there. Now this one right here is slightly harder to get to, so I use a wrench to get it loose. And my hand's a little slick from the water. There we go. Tilt it out a little bit. So I lift it up, I put my wrench in, move it all the way to the top, and I use a leverage because you see how it can slide, and I hit it and that'll get me loose. And then I can work on the other one. There we go. Now I can spin them out. There we go. Oh, it looks like I broke my little bobber here. These just kind of keep it from, you know, being misaligned in the tube. See that discoloration in there? Now it's mixed bed, and there's two different types of resin here. It's like cation and anion. I don't know a ton about the two, but I do know that one wears out before the other, which is why a lot of times they use two separate tanks for one and the other, so that way you can replace just one while the other one is still running. Now you can just use a regular garbage bag and throw it away in your normal trash. This is not hazardous chemicals. Hear that air? Always best to kind of tap it, try to get as much of that water out of there as possible. Now the cap just unscrews, and then obviously we're gonna have to clean that out. There's a filter up here at the top that keeps the resin from getting through. And then obviously we have our resin there, and we just dump it in your trash bag. And it basically looks like brown sugar. And here's the other one. It's like a big old brown slushy. If you don't have the inline TDS meter, you know, just one of these. I'll leave a link below. But literally you just fill up a cup, you dip it in there, and you can get your PPM. This way I can kind of see what my PPM is at different pressures and gallons. I have my flow meters right here. This is how I'm able to tell. This one's full. Let me make sure they're really full. I don't waste any space. But this is how much left in that 110-pound bag versus this. Now to fill up one of these, it's about 7 to 7.5 pounds. I bought 20. So when you buy these from CR Spotless, they actually sell the bags in exactly 7 or 7.5 pounds. So exactly what is needed to fill one of these up. I'm just gonna cut a slit. Now it may take a little bit longer because that opening is small. You just gotta milk it. That's what she said. Oh, look at that. We didn't lose anything. Amazing. So now once you get to the top, you're not done. Now it's best to go ahead and use the cap so that way you don't get stuff flung everywhere. Bang it a few times on a hard surface. This cart's pretty stout, so. And you'll notice we have a big area to fill. And be very careful because these things are very top heavy. Just a little bit more. We want as much surface area as possible. Make sure it's seated correctly because it is plastic on plastic, so a lot of times that kind of threading tends to go off at an angle. Just make sure you're getting it. Make sure that you're clear grit on the outside so you're not getting any of that resin in the threads. Nice and tight. There we go. I'm going to pour the rest of this resin in there. So in theory, there should be about 5 pounds, 4.5 to 5 pounds in here. Sealed and ready to go. So we have the housings up here now. We're going to add our lubricant to these seals. First, we make sure that they're completely cleaned out. There's no resin stuck to them. There's nothing kind of in the way. When you use this lubricant. Now, a lot of people say to use Vaseline. Don't use Vaseline. Vaseline can actually expand the seal and cause even more issues. Cool that this stuff came with it. I think that's kind of worth that slightly extra cost. Now, the Adams one, that's 20 pounds. I'll list it below. It is the exact same thing. It's like $139 for the 20 pounds. And obviously this is like $160 for those two 10-pound bags. Now you want to put the cartridge in with the white filter top down like this. So that way the water will fill the cavity on the outside. goes down to the bottom, comes through the filter, goes up through the middle, works its way up through all of that resin before it exits the top. Then it'll work its way over into the next one. Fill that up with water and go all the way up. That's why we make sure when you seat this to the assembly that these two seals are properly sealed. That way that water doesn't bypass going through the resin and sneak its way through the system, and you don't truly get, you know, your 0 ppm. Now you take your little ring right here that goes around the cartridge. That is going to keep the cartridge centered when you try to attach it to the housing. Now this one, it broke, so we're kind of, you can buy them, but I'll just deal with it. I'll make sure it's centered. I'm just going to place the housing on top. And we're pretty hand tight. Now the next one already has the ring in there. Obviously it's slightly off because of the angle of the housing. The other one already screwed on. Now what I'm going to do before I even put it on, I'm going to try to make sure I get a little bit more leverage on the seal here. That's not going to leak. Yeah, that's good. The beauty of having this on the floor and having everything set up to the way this is I don't gotta lift it. I don't have to mount it to the wall. All I gotta do is angle it in, just like that. Line up, make sure my ring's in there. Line up my union joint. This one right here screws on too. And then we just tighten it a little bit. Not much. There we go. This is just straight tap water, so I'm turning that off. I want to run through here, but I don't want to run it full blast. I want to run, you know, I want to let it fill up first. You can see I still have it off right here, so it's not going to get beyond this point. And we're sealed up and no leaks. I'm resetting my display. There we go, back to 0 gallons. This can tell me how much GPM is coming out. We don't want to exceed 2.5 because that is the max limit of this. If you go to 3 or more, it could keep you at 0 ppm just because of the sheer volume of resin there, but you're probably going to break it down quicker, that pressure. Get myself to 2 GPM, 2.5. We're also getting rid of all the air that's in the filters and the cartridges and getting a steady flow of water. That water is slightly cloudy. I'll show you here in a second. See, that water is a little cloudy. Getting a nice steady flow now. You'll notice when you run your house water, that first 30 seconds after it's been built up, really good performance, and then it starts tapering off a little bit, unless you have awesome water pressure. That's still a little cloudy. We'll go to one more bucket. What do we got? 8 gallons. Well, that's clear now. Liking that. TDS 0. Exactly what we're looking for. Now, could we run this higher? Absolutely. But now I'm running at 5 gallons per minute. It's still running 0 ppm, but I am breaking down and I am putting a lot of pressure on that resin, that flow. I don't know if you can tell from the bucket, but it's definitely clearer than the other one. The buckets are not completely clear, they're slightly opaque. But we ran 11 gallons through there, so I think we're good to go. I hope that helps you in some way with your DI system. The plans that I have for the future to help my lifespan, the things that affect your lifespan depending on your different types of water, refilling that cartridge, getting resin from different companies, trying things out and seeing what's the best. So don't forget to check out the links below for anything in the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. A carbon filter setup actually breaks down into chlorine than what I was. Oh my God, you're just talking. Take those cartridges, open them up and fill them in. Oh my gosh. Lubricant as well for the seals because you really make those. It also comes with some lubricant as well because you really make. It also comes with some lubricant. Oh my God. I'm trying to figure out how to do this the best. That's the way not to do it. This will be the blooper, probably. The only way you can learn, right? That's a mess. I'm not gonna lie. That didn't go as planned. The beauty of having one of these mats